A man is found motionless on the sand of an Australian beach, his head gently resting against a seawall, almost as if he were simply sleeping. There are no signs of a struggle, no visible injuries. As dawn breaks over Somerton Beach, just south of Adelaide, a small crowd begins to gather, believing, at first, that this well-dressed stranger is merely unconscious. But then investigators make a chilling discovery. Tucked inside his pocket is a tiny rolled-up scrap of paper with two mysterious words, Tamám Shud. Translated from Persian, it means, "It is finished." It's a clue straight out of a spy thriller, and it's only the beginning of one of the world's most baffling cold cases. Who was this unidentified man on Somerton Beach? Was he a spy caught in the crossfire of Cold War espionage? The victim of a secret experiment? Or an unfortunate lover in the wrong place at the wrong time? In the next minutes, we'll explore the strange true story of the Somerton Man, a case that has stumped detectives for over 70 years, sparking theories of espionage, conspiracy, and enduring mystery. On the morning of December 1st, 1948, around 6:30 a.m., jeweler John Lyons returned from a swim to find people clustered by the seawall on Somerton Beach. A man was slumped there in the same odd position Lyons had noticed the night before, back against the seawall, legs extended and crossed, impeccably dressed in a suit and freshly polished shoes. The evening prior, passers-by had seen this stranger and assumed he was drunk or asleep. One couple even joked that he must be dead to the world for not reacting to the mosquitoes buzzing around his face. Little did they know how chillingly apt that joke was. By morning, it was clear the man wasn't sleeping at all. He was dead. There were no immediate signs of violence. A half-smoked cigarette was resting on his collar, as if it had fallen from his mouth when he collapsed. Police and medics were baffled. Who was this man? He had no wallet, no ID, no money on him, nothing to indicate a name or occupation. In fact, none of his clothes bore identification tags. Someone had meticulously cut out every clothing label, obliterating any trace of origin. Only a few markings remained, the names Keane or T. Keane on 3 items. Yet, no missing person named Keane was ever found in any English-speaking country. It seemed likely these name tags were planted red herrings, left on precisely because they weren't his name. Right from the start, investigators sensed someone had gone to great lengths to conceal this man's identity. The contents of the man's pockets only deepened the mystery. They held commonplace items, a used bus ticket from the city, an unused train ticket, a pack of chewing gum, a couple of combs, a packet of matches, and an Army Club cigarette pack containing 7 cigarettes of a pricier brand called Kensitas. Oddly, the cigarettes in his pocket didn't match their packaging, leading some to wonder if one had been poisoned and slipped into his pack by an assailant. There was no sign of a struggle or robbery. This man had simply died on the spot, with only these cryptic clues on his person. An autopsy was conducted at the Royal Adelaide Hospital, yet no clear cause of death could be determined. The man was in his early 40s, in good physical condition. Internal examination found congestion of the organs and blood in the stomach, signs that could suggest poisoning. Witnesses had described the stranger's behavior on the beach the previous evening. He had been seen flailing weakly, then dropping his arm, movements that seemed less like drunkenness and more like the effects of a lethal dose of something taking hold. Toxicologists, however, were flummoxed. Tests on the man's blood and organs found no trace of any known poison. "I was astounded that he found nothing," said Dr. John Dwyer, the pathologist who examined the body. In fact, the coroner's inquest recorded no cause of death, a startling blank in an era well-versed in toxicology. One expert witness at the inquest, pharmacology professor Cedric Stanton Hicks, proposed a provocative theory. Perhaps the Somerton Man was exposed to an exceptionally rare substance, one that broke down rapidly after entering the body, leaving no trace. Hicks was so cautious about naming these compounds that he wrote them on a piece of paper for the coroner, rather than speak them aloud in court. He suggested they were so potent and obscure that public knowledge of them might be unsafe. Decades later, those names were revealed: digitalis and Rubaiyat, both naturally derived agents known to affect heart rhythm and difficult to trace after use. Exactly the kind of obscure compound you might expect in a Cold War-era mystery. Was this a breakthrough clue, or just another enigma? By early 1949, investigators were running out of leads. They were faced with an unidentified man, no personal documents, and a cause of passing that remained a mystery. In an effort to preserve any hope of future identification, they made a pivotal decision: embalm the body and create a plaster death mask of the man's face and upper torso, a method often used to preserve physical features long after traditional identification methods fail. The body was then laid to rest, but the investigation was far from over. Months into the investigation, as police and scientists obsessively revisited every detail, one examiner took a closer look at the man's clothing and uncovered something astonishing. Hidden deep inside a small, almost invisible fob pocket stitched into his trousers, a space so discreet it had been overlooked by everyone, was a tightly rolled scrap of paper. Just 2 words were printed on it: Tamám Shud. The slip had been torn from a book, not just any book, but the final page of a rare New Zealand edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a Persian poetry collection known for its meditations on life and finality. Tamám Shud translates to "it is finished," a message, a farewell, or the key to everything. The discovery of this hidden note changed everything. It wasn't just a clue, it felt deliberate, almost theatrical. Detectives quickly realized if they could find the exact copy of the Rubaiyat with the missing final page, they might trace its origin and maybe even uncover the man's identity. Public library officials confirmed the meaning of the phrase, Tamám Shud, "it is finished." And just like that, headlines exploded. The man with no name now had a new one, the Tamám Shud case. A mystery defined by a single scrap of paper and an eerie message that felt more like a signature than a clue. A nationwide search began for the missing copy of the Rubaiyat. Then, in July 1949, a man from Glenelg, a coastal suburb just beside Somerton Beach, came forward with a story straight out of a mystery novel. Around the same time the unidentified man had been found, he discovered a copy of the Rubaiyat tossed into the back seat of his car. The windows had been down. The car parked just blocks from the beach. He thought little of it at the time and left the book in his glove compartment. Weeks later, after reading about the mysterious Tamám Shud note in the newspaper, something clicked, and he turned the forgotten book over to the police. Sure enough, this rare edition, printed in Christchurch, New Zealand, was missing its final page. The torn edge matched the scrap found hidden in the man's clothing perfectly. It was a match made in forensic heaven. Inside the back cover of that very book, investigators uncovered 2 more clues, each more mysterious than the last. First, a telephone number, barely visible, in faded pencil. Second, a strange sequence of capital letters spread over several lines, resembling some kind of secret code. The number wasn't listed anywhere, but police traced it to a young former nurse named Jessica Thompson, who lived just a few blocks from where the unknown man had been found. In July 1949, detectives paid her a visit. Hoping for a breakthrough, they showed her the plaster cast of the man's face, a preserved likeness created early in the investigation. According to one lead investigator, her reaction was startling. She nearly fainted. To the police, it looked like recognition. But Jessica insisted she had never seen the man before. She also asked to keep her identity out of the press, and during the official inquest, media reports referred to her only by an alias, Justin. Under gentle questioning, Jessica revealed something else. During World War II, while living in Sydney, she had given a copy of the Rubaiyat to a friend, an army lieutenant named Alfred Boxall. Could he have been the man investigators were looking for? For a brief moment, police thought they had solved the mystery. But then came the twist. Boxall was still alive, living in Sydney, with his own copy of the book still intact, including Jessica's handwritten inscription. It wasn't the same copy found in the car. So Boxall was ruled out. One lead closed, but another quietly opened. Boxall had worked in military intelligence during the war. That raised new questions. Was Jessica connected to espionage? Had the unidentified man been another contact from her past? Jessica denied it all. She claimed not to know him and said she had no idea how her phone number ended up inside the book. But she did share one odd detail. Sometime the previous year, her neighbors told her that a stranger had come to her home asking for her, claiming he was just stopping by. That man was never identified. Could it have been the same man investigators found on the beach? Detective Sergeant Lean believed Jessica was holding something back, but with no proof, her connection to the mystery faded into silence. But what about the mysterious sequence scribbled in the back of the book? A strange collection of capital letters, starting with something like Rubaiyat, arranged in broken lines. The second line had even been crossed out, as if the writer had made a mistake and then tried again. It looked like some kind of cipher. Police handed the code over to experts, including cryptographers from the Royal Australian Navy, hoping to crack it. Was it a military message? A personal shorthand? An encrypted set of instructions? Newspapers ran the code in print, asking for help from the public. Over the decades, dozens of analysts, codebreakers, and internet sleuths have tried, but no one has been able to solve it. This cipher remains one of the most famous unsolved codes in true crime history. And to this day, no one knows what, if anything, those letters really meant. A password, a goodbye, a lover's final message, or just chaos on a page? The code keeps its silence, and the mystery only grows deeper. By the close of 1949, the case had already slipped into legend. Every conventional lead had dried up. The man's fingerprints were circulated across Australia, even sent overseas to the FBI and Scotland Yard. No match. No missing person report lined up with his description. No one ever came forward. Eventually, he was laid to rest under a simple headstone at Adelaide's West Terrace Cemetery, one that decades later would read, "Here lies the unknown man, found at Somerton Beach, December 1st, 1948. It was as if someone, maybe even the man himself, had ensured that his true identity would never be uncovered." With no solid answers, the public's imagination took over. Over the decades, the Somerton Beach mystery has sparked dozens of theories, some believable, others outright bizarre. Let's explore the most enduring ones. From the very beginning, many believed the unknown man was a spy. The Cold War was just beginning, a time of covert operations and global surveillance. South Australia had just established the Woomera Range, a remote military testing ground for rockets and classified technology. Could this man have been monitoring weapons tests? His clothing had no labels. He carried no ID. He died with no clear cause. And he had a strange cipher in his book. To intelligence experts, it looked like textbook spycraft. Even Jessica Thompson had ties to Alfred Boxall, a man who worked in military intelligence. Was she a courier? Was the Rubaiyat a one-time cipher key? Some even speculated that American intelligence quietly looked into the case. The theory remains compelling, the Somerton Man as a Cold War ghost, a player in a game of secrets and silence. Another theory suggests something darker. What if he was the subject of a secret experiment? In the 1940s and 50s, governments were testing chemicals, drugs, and mind control substances in top-secret programs. The CIA's MKUltra project is one infamous example. Could the Somerton Man have been exposed to a rare, undetectable compound, one that left no trace? Some tie this to rumors like the Philadelphia experiment, wild tales of disappearing ships and lost sailors. While speculative, the idea persists because of one fact. No cause of death was ever found, not even a trace. But maybe this wasn't about espionage or science at all. Some believe the mystery is far more personal. A heartbroken man traveling to Adelaide to reconnect with someone, possibly Jessica, and finding only rejection. The final page of the Rubaiyat reads, "Tamám Shud, it is finished." Was it a message of farewell? Some saw a resemblance between the man and Jessica's young son. Could he have been the father, cut off from her life? If so, this was not a spy or a test subject, but a man broken by love. A private tragedy wrapped in public mystery. Of course, when a mystery stays unsolved this long, the strange ideas begin to multiply. Time travel, aliens, Masonic rituals. Some say he wasn't a victim at all, but someone who crossed over from somewhere else. One theory connects him to the Istal woman, a similar unsolved case in Norway. There's no proof for any of these, but they highlight just how deeply this story has taken root in our collective imagination. For over 70 years, the man's name remained unknown. Then, in the 2000s, researcher Professor Derek Abbott from University of Adelaide decided to reopen the case. He traced family trees. He studied every detail. And in a twist of fate, he married Rachel Egan, a woman who might be the Somerton Man's granddaughter. In 2022, Abbott's team announced they had a name: Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne, a loner, a poet. He vanished in 1947, the year before the mystery began, and his estranged wife. She had moved to South Australia. Could Carl Webb have traveled to find her, only to meet a tragic end on Somerton Beach? The theory fits. Webb loved poetry. He may have carried the book for personal reasons. The code? Possibly just a draft of a poem. The cause of death? Still unknown. And while the DNA match to distant relatives is strong, it's not official. South Australian police have yet to confirm it. Even if the name is right, we still don't know what happened or why. The mystery refuses to end. So what do you think? Was he a spy? A grieving lover? A casualty of something far more secret? Drop your theory in the comments. Your guess is as valid as any in this story. Because one thing is certain: whoever he was, he left behind a legacy of questions and a single haunting message. Tamám Shud. It is finished. Or is it? If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's most perplexing mysteries, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. We got more cold cases, hidden histories, and eerie clues coming your way. Turn on notifications so you never miss what's next. And if you have a theory, drop it in the comments. You might just be the one who cracks the code. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay sharp, and remember, some stories never truly end.